I love Dungeons & Dragons and always will, but I don't want to live in a world where D&D is so dominant it becomes complacent and boring. I think the most creative games with the best production values this year are independent games. And I'm going to share some of these games, some of the best of the year, with you today. And some of them I guarantee you have never heard of. So stay tuned for Dungeon Craft. Welcome to Dungeon Craft. I'm Professor DM, and this channel is about all things tabletop role-playing games. And if you enjoy independent games, you want to like and subscribe. Thank you. And if you like independent games, you want to go to the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, featuring old school legends like Frank Menzer, Jeff D., and Merle Rasmussen, the designer of Top Secret, as well as newer designers like Luke Stratton of Pirate Borg, Kelsey Dion of Shadowdark, and dungeon tubers like Justin Alexander, the Lazy Dungeon Master, Bob Worldbuilder, and me. I'm going to be running my game, Deathbringer, which is launching in May of 2026, for a huge live audience. It's a killer dungeon, and you can see how long you can last with me as the Dungeon Master. That's going to be at Oaks, Pennsylvania, the week of January 15th to the 18th. Use the code ProfessorDM for a $15 discount on your ticket. You'll find a link to that below, and I hope to see you there. The reason I think independent games are important is because if they didn't exist, Wizards of the Coast would have no incentive to improve. For the last couple of years, Pathfinder, Cyberpunk, Castles and Crusades have all put out fantastic starter sets. Look at this Daggerheart box set. Slick pages, bookmark ribbon. The Mothership box set this year it won an award at this year's Ennies. And the production qualities are so high. And by bringing attention to these starter sets, what do you think happened? Wizards of the Coast raised their game this year, producing two much improved starter sets. Competition improves products for everyone, and the people pushing the art form forward are independent game companies. Let's define independent. An independent game is a game not produced by a multinational conglomerate. The two largest names in the hobby space, Wizards of the Coast and Games Workshop, are not independent. Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, a publicly traded company, and Games Workshop itself is publicly traded. And that means by necessity, artistic choices are dictated largely by share price. Independent games, by contrast, are driven by artistic vision and a strong desire to innovate. And I think 2025 will go down as the year independent games broke mainstream. Darrington Press produced Daggerheart, an innovative system with high production values that sold out almost immediately, while Critical Role's Mighty Nine debuted to higher Amazon ratings than the much more expensive and hyped Rings of Power. Stormlight RPG raised a staggering $13 million on Kickstarter and brought Brian Sanderson's Cosmere universe to life. Matt Colville's Draw Steel was released after raising over $3 million on Kickstarter, giving enthusiasts some tactical 4E-inspired combat. Dungeon Coach raised $3 million for his DC-20 game, which combines the very best mechanics of D&D and Pathfinder and presents a very smooth and streamlined action economy. Shadowdark Western Reaches raised nearly $3 million on Kickstarter, expanding the Shadowdark world and adding additional classes and rules. And there are the games I'm about to show you now, and most have not appeared on this channel. Several won major awards at this year's Ennies, and these games aren't merely good, they blew my mind with their production values. Let's take a look. Historica Arcanum, City of the Crescent from Metos Creative is based on historical Constantinople and the Ottoman Empire and is 5e compatible. It's from Metis Creative. Just look at this art, how atmospheric it is, how evocative it is. This is really a beautiful book. This book is fully compatible with 5e, character creation that offers different professions authentic to that area, and you could still be a druid or a paladin or a sorcerer, with additional feats like fortune-telling, subclasses like bounty hunters, authentically historical maps of Constantinople with detailed locations. This company is just taking D&D to a whole other level. NPC personalities. This is just one of an entire series of books from Metis Entertainment. So if you want stat blocks for Vlad the Impaler and unique monsters inspired by real-world culture, if you enjoy different cultures and a game with greater historical authenticity, you will love Historica Arcanum, City of the Crescent. Caverns of Thracia by Goodman Games. We get a reprint and a 5e update here. Look at that great art on the end pages. Man, does this bring back the memories of the days when you colored in your dice. Going back to the front, we got some great handouts here. Wow, it's extensive. We begin with some interviews and essays, including an interview with Janelle Jaquays herself, a wonderful essay by Mike Merle, The Unparalleled Legacy of Janelle Jaquays, other essays by Kenneth Haidt and James Mishler. And we get both a reprint of the original text and a refreshed 5e version, and updated maps and new art. It pays homage to Janelle's creative vision. If you like old school dungeon crawling, you are gonna love this. Props to Joseph Goodman and the Goodman Games team for preserving the legacy of Janelle and keeping old school dungeon crawling alive.
Like and subscribe, it really helps the channel. And don't forget to sign up for the Deathbringer RPG newsletter.
Down Among the Dead for Pirate Borg has my vote for favorite Borg of the year. Hardbound, 100 deluxe pages with 2 bookmark ribbons. It keeps the Borg tradition of putting the most important information, like ship maps and rumors, on the end pages. New classes include the Antiquarian, Deep Ones, love the drawing with the anglerfish head, and Unlocked Souls. Also included are additional skills and house rules, including if someone wears an article of clothing like a hat in real life, their character gets that article for free. And if the entire group learns to sing a sea shanty, it lowers the difficulty class for group roles by 4. There is a fantastic Dark Caribbean island generator for making prep a snap, as well as a sample island. New locations include Anchor Drop Falls and Davy Jones' Locker, including rules for getting there and escaping. Other locations include Port Oblivion and the Obelisk of Dagon. And the excellent scenario Venom in the Veins features modern adventure design where you put the rooms and their descriptions on the same page so you don't need to flip. The book includes dozens of locations and different types of ships for your Pirate Borg adventures, and you even get a gambling game within a game called The Three-Eyed Parrot. All of the writing, illustration, and layout is by Limithron, Luke Stratton, and the pages positively glow. The illustrations are dynamic and convey the world, a mashup between Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, and H.P. Lovecraft, more than chunks of dense text ever could. Really fantastic and highly recommended. The Monty Python's Co-curricular Medieval Reenactment program, featuring hilarious writing, authentic art, and deliberately absurd mechanics like rolling a natural 1 is called rolling a spam. Hardbound, 340 pages, featuring the best blurbs I have ever read on an RPG, including from Terry Gilliam. Quote, "Will you please stop asking me for a blurb for the back cover of a role-playing game?" And John Cleese, "How much are we getting paid for this?" The back cover describes this as a rules-light system for quick adoption by even the densest of participants. The inside cover includes essential tables such as a table. The results include coffee, dinner, picnic, or ping pong. A random name generator which produced Larch Ascot Swallow for me. Shop names like the Camel Lot, Grain or Shine, and a sale of 2 titties. Factions include the Knights of the Round Table, the Church of Brian, the People's Front of Judea, and the French. The rules are called a brief historical remediation for those who didn't apply themselves at school. The mechanics are very rules light. You choose your course of action, determine which of your 3 to 5 traits applies, roll the die corresponding to that trait, and see if you hit the target number. Traits include bardistry, chastity, glibness, sorcery, and valor, and each gives you a piece of equipment called an accoutrement. Your chastity trait might give you a chastity belt, which grants you +1 chastity. Characters all get retainers, which can help, or not, and perform minor tasks, and yes, you can get a manservant with coconuts. Classes includes clerics, enchanters, knaves, knights, and troubadours, and all are goofy. The game attempts to bring the world of Monty Python's Holy Grail and Spamalot to life, and it succeeds admirably. Admirably. That doesn't roll off the tongue. And it succeeds. The art is fantastic, and the game includes stat blocks for King Arthur, the Black Knight, Galahad the Pure, Lancelot the Brave, Tim the Enchanter, and monsters like that killer rabbit. I've always maintained the most authentic depiction of an actual Dungeons & Dragons game is when John Cleese's Lancelot storms into the town, stabs the guards, and starts hacking his way through innocent villagers for absolutely no reason. That is essentially every D&D game I've ever run for 12-year-olds, and that's the zaniness this game tries to replicate. The rules give this bit of comic advice. Don't try to be funny. Play the characters absolutely straight and let them do the first thing that pops into their heads. Co-curricular Medieval Reenactment program is both a role-playing game and a satire of a role-playing game, and it scores on both levels. This game is not for everyone, but if you're a fan of the dry, sardonic humor of the Pythons, it's worth your time. And it's probably the funniest role-playing game book I've read since Paranoia and the original Hackmaster. And showing off great games like this one is one of the reasons I do this show. Dolmenwood by Exalted Funeral, probably my most requested review of the year, is a dark fantasy setting right out of the Brothers Grimm or Neil Jordan's Company of Wolves. It is compatible with Old School Essentials or any BX-compatible game like Shadow Dark and features incredible maps. This is the player book. 6 ability scores, 3 to 18. You know the drill with traditional classes and ancestries like elves, fighters, thieves, clerics, but also unique ones like the Bregel and the Grimalkin, friars, and hunters. The monster book makes excellent use of the end pages with charts and random encounters and arranging monsters by levels for easy reference. The monsters include a lot of fae and magical forest dwellers like kelpies and moggawumps. I love this depiction of a ghoul eating an eyeball like string cheese. Fantastically grimdark. The maps book may be the best type of this book I have ever seen, with dozens of unique detailed locations, forests, roads, shrines, standing stones, detailed notes on running hex crawls. This is the most expansive hex crawl I've ever seen, and maps for every conceivable fantasy setting, villages, hamlets, towns, cities. The campaign book is hardbound, 400 pages, and gives detailed descriptions of several hundred locations, including the NPCs that live in the Dolmenwood. In terms of sheer volume of information, art, and maps and lore, Dolmenwood is unsurpassed. And I didn't even get to the referee screen, which also looks awesome, or the 4 books of scenarios. And the miniatures. The City of Darkenhaven from GUI Cube. All 15 pounds of it. Character portraits for 108 NPCs. Reward cards, treasure cards. Lore guide, 120 slick pages. Localities and landmarks part 1, another 120 pages. Localities and landmarks part 2, another 120 pages. And the GM reference book on how to run city adventures. Altogether, it's like 600 pages. Fantastic art here. Literally hundreds of places for your players to visit. Clockmakers, taverns, mad scientist laboratories. But we're not done. We have a 120-page guide to creating city adventures. City adventures can be difficult. You need charts to build a city on the fly. This book has tons of them. Plot hooks, adventure starters, random encounters with every house and guild, tavern, detailed in full. Rumors and secrets, you got pages of them. Random encounters, tons of them. You want elf names? You got high elf names, wood elf names, halfling names. And we're not even up to the maps yet. Taverns, shops, courtyards. There are hundreds of them. They go forever. This is the city map. Illustrations of all the areas. No wonder Darkenhaven won the prestigious Judge's Choice Medal at this year's Annie Awards. I can barely fit all the stuff back in the box. And GUI Cube isn't done. They also include The Deepest Fear, an adventure for character levels 6 to 9. Darkenhaven makes Waterdeep look like water sleep. And just when you think box sets can't get any bigger, comes Land of Eam saying, "Hold my beer." This box set is 17 pounds. Including 4 hardcover volumes, Core Rules, Bestiary, Sandbox Setting, and the Meeple's Dice and Adventuring Supplies. The core rulebook contains 6 classes, 18 species, 200 magic items, 50 relics, 27 enemies, 100 spells, and 150 plus crafting components. Land of Eve has been described as Lord of the Rings meets the Muppets, and that's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what it looks like. How dynamic is this art? Love the way they use the end pages for the quick reference rules. Random NPCs, weapon rules, coins, all the stuff you need to run the game. You just flip to it. The system is very simple. You roll a 12-sided die and add your skill modifiers. 3 to 5 failure with a plus, 6 to 8 success with a twist, 9 to 11 success, and 12 or more is complete success. You also have advantage and disadvantage. This is a game designed for children, so it's really easy to understand the attributes. Vim, Vigor, Knack, Know-How, and stats, courage, attack, defense, quest points, inventory slots. Very clear. A skill like Know-How is very encompassing. It includes things like tinkering and surviving in the wilderness, easy character creation steps, classes like the Bard, the Dungeoneer, Knight Errant, Loyal Chum. Very evocative art here. I love this guy riding an ostrich. Species like gnomes, goblins, humans, imps, mushrooms, and quartles. And generally, I don't like these anthropomorphic type of species, but I think in a kid's game, it works perfectly fine. You got your spells, how to resolve conflicts, how combat works, some enemies like the orc. These are pig-faced orcs in this game. The bestiary contains a bunch of monsters. Again, I love that evocative artwork. Wandering monsters and reactions right on those end pages. Simple stat blocks for the bramblebee and the braying saberfish. I really love it. I think it is really well done. We got a sturdy fold-out map with the land of Eam depicted. Game Master's screen. All the essential tables for combat conditions and adversaries on the inside. I'm a big fan of Game Master screens that aren't too high, so this is perfect. And we have the Muckland sandbox campaign setting, with regions including the Drippy Downs, Fleabag County, Quagmarsh, River Country, Scalawag Strand, and That Used to Be Forest. 420 slick pages, with cities like Bogtown, NPCs, everything you need. Land of Eam won 3 coveted ENnie awards this year, including Gold for Best Family Game, Gold for Best Monster for its bestiary, and Silver for its production values. It is a very family-friendly game, and is my recommendation if you want to introduce young children to fantasy role-playing games. One of last year's best books was The Virginia Disastrum by Lamentations of the Flame Princess. That was set, of course, in the colonies. This, Nebulith, is set in a fantasy version of Japan. Nebulith, as the title, is an island made of frozen volcanic ash. The art is very Frank Miller-esque. It reminds me of his runs on Daredevil, Wolverine, and the graphic novel Ronin. Very grimdark. The layout is fantastic, a great balance between art and text, and it keeps concepts to 1 or 2 pages to reduce flipping. I should add the paper is very thick, which feels authentic to the setting. There are several new classes here, including ninjas, samurai, and karate masters, and several new setting-appropriate spells. Nebulith is compatible with Lamentations of the Flame Princess and/or any OSR game. Stat blocks include armor class, hit dice, hit point, damage, resistance. You know the drill. The bestiary contains really weird creatures I guarantee you have never seen before. This book is just beautiful. There's a chapter of colorful NPCs like Red Eye Ray, Fat Spider, Grinning Tiger, and Sour Pear, a castle and its lord, dojos and their masters. The dungeons here are a standout with cool names right out of anime like Demon Battle of the Lower Depths. The encounters are described on the maps, so there's no flipping the pages to dig for information. One scenario, the Blue Jade Pavilion, is presented as a flowchart over 2 pages. Very innovative, very cool. Nebulith is stunning, blending beautiful presentation and practical layout and design. It is a work of art, and among the best books Lamentations of the Flame Princess has ever released. No review of 2025 would be complete without mentioning Moria, Through the Doors of Durin, for Free League's One Ring system. Look at these end pages. Simply stunning. Deluxe hardbound, 222 pages, thick paper with a bookmark ribbon sewn in the spine. This is a book of deep lore, pun intended, with stunning artwork, very reminiscent of Alan Lee, and a singular vision to remain as faithful as possible to its source material. Moria is more than just a mega dungeon. It is a living, breathing ecosystem, an underground world filled with beauty and danger. Moving from the back to the front, we have random tables, rules for solo exploration, descriptions of Balin's tomb, the endless stair, the Balrog's throne, the ledge of woe, the doors of Durin, the imperishable hall, and the road under the mountain, with gorgeous maps rendered in the 3D perspective. Simply some of the best maps ever produced for a role-playing game supplement. New, creepy monsters like the Reek Bat and the Marrow Eaters, and of course, the orcs.
They better not be any of these newfangled hippy-dippy D&D orcs!
No, Angry Dwarf, these orcs are irredeemably evil, and there's a handy random orc party generator to make slaughtering them easier. Game Master tips on how to describe the doomed majesty of Moria, including auditory cues like groaning, footsteps, scraping, whispers, scratching, that make it seem mysterious and dangerous and bring this dark underground world to life. Plus, extensive lore that will delight any Tolkien fan, featuring a full-size, double-sided map. How gorgeous is this? Moria won a Gold Ennie for Best Cartography, Gold for Product of the Year, and the People's Choice and Judges Award at this year's UK Games Expo. It is a must-have for One Ring fans, Tolkien superfans, and any Angry Dwarves in your life.
It reminds me of home.
I did a full review of this one, but I had to include it again. It is that good. Mythic Bastionland is a grimdark, rules-light take on Arthurian legend based on the Into the Odd system. 3 stats, auto-hit, roll damage, and subtract your defenses. Auto-hit mechanics are all the rage now, but Into the Odd did it first. Mythic Bastionland presents over 70 different types of knights with their own unique flavor and powers, and over 70 myths. The game focuses on domain management and hex crawls. The randomly determined myths make it possible for a GM to run it with minimal prep, like seconds, and the combinations of myths and knights are endlessly replayable. And the art and the layout elevate this book to another level. It looks like an illuminated medieval manuscript. So beautiful. Mythic Bastionland won the Gold Ennie for Best Layout and Design, Gold for Best Interior Art, and Silver for Product of the Year. There are just not enough superlatives from me to describe this masterpiece. If you love tabletop role-playing games, not just the game with the dragon, not just the ones that you read about on Polygon, Mythic Bastionland deserves a spot on your game shelf. In my opinion, and I look at a lot of games, it is the game of the year. All the games mentioned today can be found on their company websites. Thank you so much for watching this channel and supporting independent games. If you feel this content was worth it and want more, you can look into my Patreon. You'll find a link below. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll be back soon. May all your rolls be 20s.
Wait a second. You left out some. What about Crawl Fantasy Roleplay? Or Megaforce TTRPG? Or Hawk the Slayer? Whatever. Important thing is to sign up for my game, Deathbringer, and click on these videos for more independent reviews.